killer carnivores rule at the top of the food chain all across the planet. We'll search out some of the most interesting of these predators, starting in North America with the awesome grizzly bear, then the most deadly of the wild canines, the grey wolf, and finally the most fearsome of the North American cats, the mountain lion. Last, we'll head back to the wilds of our home, Australia, to search out a small but pound for pound just as effective predator, the dunart. Get ready to be amazed by this face-to-face look at some of the world's most awesome wild hunters. This is the saber-toothed tiger. And this is Australia's version, the marsupial lion. He's long gone, but is he? Many times science has written off a species as extinct, until someone catches a live specimen. Reports surface on a regular basis of a large cat-like creature known as the night growler.
It's like a high-pitched like that, but it's yeah.
A lot of people are quite sceptical that a large predatory animal could exist in Australia without being seen, like the extinct thylacine or the marsupial lion. These are animals that don't want to be seen, and I'd probably be the biggest skeptic out, but I still have an open mind. I'm going to show you how easy it is for something to hide in the bush. Now I'm only about 1 metre into the bush and I can't be seen. And I'm not camouflaged. I'm not trying to hide. So you can see that one of these animals could exist.
While there is no certain evidence that any big hairy predators still hunt in Australia, in other parts of the world they are very visible. On the North American continent, grizzly bears are kings of the forest. A bull elk makes his way along the tree line, but unknown to him, a female grizzly is stalking through the forest. Finally, the hunter settles down. Soon she'll begin feasting. But first she assesses the location of her kill. If it's too exposed in the open, she'll move it or perhaps bury part of it, making it more difficult for other predators and other bears to see. A male grizzly approaches, lured now by the scent of the kill. The male is not intimidated by the female. Such a large source of food is too important, and there is little the female can do to stop him. The carcass probably weighs as much as 600 pounds. But the male has little difficulty putting it exactly where he wants. Even if this were not the mating season, the male grizzly would probably permit the female to remain. Bears establish a temporary social hierarchy whenever a large food source is available. This helps prevent large fights which could result in devastating injuries. Still, tempers can flare. Though grizzly bears usually go after very young or very old members of an elk herd, they will readily take advantage of an inattentive, healthy adult. All the same, studies have shown that Yellowstone grizzlies are likely to only kill 1 to 6 large ungulates in a year. The bears will feed on this carcass for several days, gorging themselves repeatedly and taking advantage of as much meat as they can. They also must be on guard to protect their prize from scavengers. The female is satisfied for the moment and departs for a nearby stream. But she'll soon return. Coming up, the wolf gets a second chance in the USA after 70 years of extinction.
Dingoes can be called the Australian wolf. They're our top predator, like in America, bears and wolves and cougars. Unfortunately, in national parks and other areas where people come into contact with them and the animals lose their fear of humans, they can and are dangerous. They have killed people.
In recent years, Australia's dingoes have caused hundreds of incidents with people, resulting in many injuries and a few fatalities. Still, the animals live under governmental protection. It seems to be quite a contradiction that in the United States there's never been a verified attack on a human by a healthy wolf in the wild. Yet until only the last few years, people were doing everything to get rid of them. The wolf, through centuries of folklore mythology, has gained the reputation of being a ruthless demon with a taste for human flesh. Nothing could be further from the truth. The fact shows that wild wolves are more frightened of humans than vice versa. But unfound fear rather than fact has driven humans to persecute the wolf more than any other animal in history, partly for his pelt, but more for his unearned reputation. In the US, the wolf extermination program was launched in the late 1800s to combat a problem of stock-killing wolves. It was a problem brought on by humans themselves. Hunters had killed 50 million buffalo. Wolf populations swelled as they fed on the carcasses left behind. But when man had wiped out the buffalo, starving wolves were forced to kill livestock. In years past, the US government used millions of tax dollars to fund trapping, shooting, poisoning, even burning alive wolves that roamed the country. By 1929, virtually every wolf in the USA was gone. Over the following years in Yellowstone National Park, with wolves gone, elk and bison numbers were soaring out of control. Gone was the predator that trimmed the herds and kept them lean and healthy. Finally, nearly 30 years ago, one brave individual went on record with a recommendation that put the historic wheels in motion.
In 1975, I was contracted by the National Park Service to survey whether or not there were still wolf packs here in Yellowstone National Park. I spent 12 months in the field over 2 years and did not find any evidence of wolf packs in Yellowstone Park. So in 1978, I recommend that the Park Service restore wolves back to the Yellowstone ecosystem by reintroduction.
In 1995, the US government authorized the restoration of grey wolves in Idaho and in Yellowstone Park after nearly 70 years of absence. Coming up, we follow the grey wolf on the hunt again, back in the wilds of the Yellowstone National Park. Now the grey wolf is firmly re-established in Yellowstone. Recently, on a winter morning, the crystal bench pack came through here. The alpha male's huge prints are as big as a man's hand. The wolves are now starting to have a controlling effect on the prey population. In the past, the huge herd of elk and bison had overgrazed the valley and eaten the willow and aspen shoots before they could grow. The crystal bench pack has been covering 10 to 15 miles a day across their large, loosely defined territory and killing an elk every 3 or 4 days. Tension builds in the herd as the pack approaches. The alpha male and female sit and watch as 2 yearlings head full speed into the hunt. The hunt can be over in a few minutes, or it can be drawn out for hours while the predators alternatively rest and then resume their chase. The yearlings have singled out a group of huge bulls. The rest of the herd looks on nervously. The chase is nature's way of exposing the one that's too old or too sick to keep up. Wolves are no match for a healthy bull, but they can kill one that lags behind. The strongest and healthiest animals will escape, living on to breed, ensuring the quality of the gene pool. The rest of the herd makes a hasty escape. The chase can be just as deadly for the predator. Many a wolf has fallen to the hooves and antlers of the prey. Suddenly, a massive bull whirls around, and the yearling barely escapes death. They have tested this herd. It's time to move on to another. As night approaches, the wolves mingle with a tense herd of smaller bulls. An uneasy calm settles in as the wolves bed down among the elk. They'll wait for an opportunity in the darkness of Yellowstone. Coming up, mountain lion, puma, cougar, 3 names, one powerful, smart, sometimes unpopular cat.
Whether you call it an American mountain lion, a puma, a cougar or a panther, it doesn't matter. It's the same cat. I'm going to call it a cougar.
Morning in the Tetons finds the mountain lions once again on the hunt. During the warmer months, small game is plentiful, and cougars hunt in the daytime more often to seek out this relatively easy quarry. Sometimes the cats scale cliffs and scan the area below for prey. In this way, not only do they get a bird's eye view, but also they stay undetected by the potential victims, as most animals do not naturally look above for danger. A cougar's senses are designed for a particular style of hunting. Cats are sight feeders as opposed to scent feeders. Although their noses are far more sensitive than a human's, they are much less developed than those of bears, for example. So a cougar's eyesight then needs to be keen. Also, their sense of hearing is very advanced. Generally, mountain lions are known to have large territories, but home ranges vary depending on their habitat. Here in Idaho, resident males patrol areas from 16 to 85 square miles. Generally, their ranges fluctuate into higher elevations during the summer, and to the lower canyons in the winter where deer and elk congregate. A ground squirrel is unaware it's been spotted from a distance. When it finally senses approaching danger, it finds the cougar between it and the safety of its burrow. Because of their availability, ground squirrels are often the most frequently caught prey among mountain lions in Idaho during the summer. And when food is this abundant, it's not uncommon for a cougar to play before it tires of the game and heads off to consume it. An average size of 145-pound cougar requires 10 pounds of meat per day, so the hunt continues. In the course of a single day or night's hunt, the cat may cover 25 miles searching for food. A wild turkey feeds on insects and seeds a few hundred yards away. Turkeys are very difficult and skittish prey with excellent eyesight. They can detect even the slightest movement in their surroundings. But 50 million years of evolution have honed the mountain lion into an expert stalker, using available cover, inching slowly along toward the target. Sometimes the hunt can last for hours. The cougar can attain a pre-attack success rate of up to an astonishing 82%, higher than most predators. It's the cat's great patience allowing it to get very close to its prey before pouncing that ensures its success. Instinctively, when the turkey lowers its head to feed, the mountain lion ventures a few steps closer. Then the cat becomes motionless when the bird raises its head to scan for danger. When the turkey ventures into an aspen grove, the cougar has additional cover to enable it to quickly close in within 10 yards of the bird. With his first pounce, the cat strikes a crippling blow, so the turkey can no longer fly. With this successful hunt, the mountain lion can eat its fill, so the rest of the day and night will be spent resting, conserving energy for the hunt to come tomorrow. Coming up, the undisputed king of the African predators, the lion on the hunt.
Once the prey is singled out from the herd, the first stage of the hunt begins. The stalk is slow, graceful, and deliberate. The cat moves closer and closer under the cover of vegetation. When she thinks the quarry is within reach, stage 2, the attack, takes place.
Not every attack is that easy, and frequently, especially in open country, the lion has to give chase, and often she is outrun, so she goes home hungry.
To give the entire pride better odds for survival, lionesses perform as a team not only with cub-sitting duties, but also in the hunting process.
Part of the advantage of social behavior is obviously things like anting behavior, looking after somebody else's young, but also spectacular cooperation in hunting. And they do coordinate their efforts. They do have specific social traditions in predation which are passed down from one generation to the next. And these are routine practices. We think that there have been traditions in terms of hunting people. And one thing that's been documented 3 times independently in terms of hunting people is to set up a relay system where the corpse is transferred from one lion to another who takes it far away. Hunting other prey such as wildebeest or zebra has also been demonstrated to be a cooperative behavior with specific roles by different pride members in terms of securing prey.
Just as the cat's capture techniques vary, killing techniques also vary among species and depending upon the size of lunch. More times than not, the prey animals are larger in body size than the cat. This is where the throat bite is mostly used. The lioness's large canine teeth aren't necessarily for ripping, but for killing. With a well-placed bite, she will crush or puncture the trachea and render the animal breathless. Those enormous cat paws will anchor the struggling victim while the specialized array of teeth does its job. The cats have fewer teeth than other carnivores because cats have a shortened jaw to give them that strong, wide bite. Some scientists believe there may be damage to the lower parts of the skull, which affects the central nervous system.
The second method the lion uses to kill prey is a bite to the nape of the neck. This is generally only executed on smaller prey animals or animals already on the ground for practicality.
Even as a lively, bred from cub youth of just over 12 months, Mac the lion here gives Rob and Bill a first-hand and unexpected demonstration of the nape bite.
The lion bites his prey where the... Here, we got one here. You right?
Mac, of course, is only playing. It's rough play, but if he was serious, Bill would be severely mauled.
Not that end. Hey, hold, hold, hold.
But with a firm and knowledgeable hand, it's back to Mac the pussycat. After a kill, the big cats will start on the hindquarters of the carcass and move on to the entrails. The animals they eat are mostly herbivores, and the contents of their stomachs give the cats the vitamins they need. Most of their water requirements come from food, but all cats will certainly drink when water is available. Here, a pride of Asiatic lionesses and older cubs vigorously fight over a kill. The male comes to dinner late, but demands his right to eat first. Traditionally, the males will eat first, followed by the lionesses, and finally, the cubs. In this case, the female is forced to kill again for her growing cubs. No wonder the saying goes, the lion's share. Lions are the ruling predator of the savannah, but lion cubs can become targets too. Some cubs have been separated from the pride, and acting as if in natural retribution, a herd of Cape buffalo picks up the scent of one of the cubs and attacks it. Defiant to the end, the cub gives a stinging bite to the overpowering buffalo, which then deals the death blow. This is a plain example of the killer instinct.
Coming up, the most famous and perhaps the most mysterious case of lions eating humans occurred more than 100 years ago. The tragedies at Tsavo in Kenya have left a lot of unanswered questions. That's the next Big Cat story.
The year was 1898, and the railway from Mombasa to Uganda was being built. A bridge needed to be constructed at Tsavo by engineer Lieutenant Colonel John Patterson.
1,000 men, mainly from India, were the workers. They lived in open tents on the plains of Kenya.
Shortly after Patterson's arrival in Tsavo in 1898, people, including the Indian workers employed from India as well as African native workers, started to disappear, and it was rapidly very apparent that people were being consumed by lions, man-eating lions. In a span of about 8 months, they're thought to have killed, according to Patterson, over 20 Indian workers and several scores, meaning up to 100 other workers. So a total of, we think, over 100 people were killed.
The workers believed these lions to be the embodiment of evil and were frightened out of their wits. They also believed the lions were taking men for enjoyment rather than food. But there was a bizarre twist to the story at Tsavo. In 1914, Patterson wrote about his African experience.
I came upon a fearsome-looking cave which seemed to run back for a considerable distance under the rocky bank. Round the entrance and inside the cavern, I was thunderstruck to find a number of human bones, with here and there a copper bangle, such as the natives wear. Beyond all doubt, the man-eater's den.
Yeah, my colleague Tom Noski and I, and a great Kenyan colleague, Samuel Andanje from Kenya Wildlife Service, made up our minds we should look for the so-called den of the man-eaters of Tsavo. We found the cave very close to the railway bridge. All human bones had been washed out, probably within the next time it rained after Patterson discovered the cave.
John Patterson tracked down the two lions and killed them. Their skins and skulls are now in the Field Museum in Chicago. Were the Tsavo lions evil creatures with a taste for human flesh? Or were they just trying to survive? What made these lions different?
We also know that the railway was built along a traditional Swahili caravan route and crossed the river at the same place. They had been resting at this spot for perhaps centuries, and this was a routine lion hunting ground.
There was one other mitigating factor in the Tsavo lion's defense.
The tooth of the notorious first man-eater, which we see right here, had a severely broken lower right canine, which is actually growing horizontally as opposed to vertically.
His main killing tool was out of action, so maybe he had a bad temper brought on by a bad toothache.
The interesting thing about man-eating is people think this is a thing of the past from the 19th century or the 20th century for that matter. Man-eating is still a very serious problem today. In Zambia, in 1991, former Chicagoan Wayne Hosick shot and killed a lion we see in our building named the man-eater of Mafue. And this lion had killed 6 people before it was killed, that even had the audacity to parade around town with a clothes bag from some of its victims. We do think that these are traditions and cultures, and that human is simply another species on the landscape. We have evidence from the fossil record that humans have been the victim of lions and leopards, for that matter, for several million years, and virtually most of our knowledge of early human evolution is from the layers of leopards and hyenas and that sort of thing.
Lions are naturally curious, but do they want to eat us? If there was a test to prove that, then this may be it. An experiment by a drive-through wildlife park was prompted after several people were found breaking park rules.
People get out and they open the bonnet and just see what's happened to their car, which is, of course, very dangerous. We have had the odd person get out and want to go to the toilet behind a tree in an emergency. We even had a party a few years ago get all their things out and attempt a picnic in the lion reserve.
Store dummies were set up around a car. The lions are cautious, but go straight for the human-looking dummies. The results from this startling test tightened up park rules considerably.
Even in the killer instinct, there is great beauty. The fastest creature on the land, the cheetah, when we return.
On the vast plains of the Serengeti, the mighty Panthera leo lives side by side with the lithe, graceful cat of another genus, Acinonyx jubatus, the cheetah. The cheetah is the oldest species and the smallest of the big cats. It's also the fastest land animal. It can outperform most modern sports cars in terms of speed of acceleration. A fully grown cheetah can reach its top speed of 70 miles per hour in around 3 seconds from a standstill. But unlike the high-performance sports car, this high-performance cat can only maintain a top speed for a short distance, 300, maybe 400 yards.
You know, this African speed demon can shoot you that cat look of defiance. But by big cat standards, the cheetah's the shy guy. In an unplanned encounter, it'll probably do what it does best, and that's run.
Prey surveyed from a high vantage point won't be let off so lightly. If you're the cheetah's favourite food, in this area that's the impala, then you're no match for the fastest animal on 4 lean, graceful legs.
Yeah, there's 2 things quite unique about cheetahs. One is that they are the fastest land animal on the earth, and the other is they're the only member of the cat family whose claws don't retract. They stay out, a lot like a dog. Now this is to enable them obviously to be able to run very fast, and they've been clocked at some top speeds near 100 kilometres an hour. So they don't hunt like the lions do, for instance. They're not stalking cats. What they do, they'll lie in wait or in ambush, and then they'll use that sheer speed to outrun their prey. And a little trip of the back leg and brings the prey straight down.
Cheetahs hunt by day, while other predators are resting. Females hunt alone, males in groups of related males. Both use the neck bite method of killing. The female cheetah uses the bush as cover. She will get as close as she can, then accelerate for the kill. The cheetah's huge burst of energy for the rundown tires the slender cat, and will often now rest to regain its strength. While the cheetah is catching a breath, it isn't unusual for a cheeky scavenger to snatch away the fruits of the cat's labour. The shy cheetah is easily persuaded to give up its catch. Dragging the carcass to a safe place is one way to ensure a peaceful meal.
The lifestyle of the female cheetah is totally different to the male. She lives alone, rearing her cubs. She's not territorial, and her range often overlaps that of another female. The males are totally different.
The easy way to tell a cheetah from a leopard is from the teardrop markings on its face. It's also much leaner than others. The curved spine is also a giveaway, and the cheetah can't roar. It chirps like a bird. Apart from a mother protecting her cubs, cheetahs don't seem to be a very aggressive cat. Attacks on humans are extremely rare. Cheetahs are extinct in the wild outside Africa. Once there were populations from India to the Middle East and down through the African continent. Now they're only found on the grasslands and plains of East and Central Africa.
Oh. The big cats.
Next up, Rob heads home to Australia and goes deep into the bush in search of some unusual predators. Australia is home to a mysterious group of carnivores with bad attitudes and razor-sharp teeth, the dunarts.
A lot of insect shells here. Under this little log are a lot of remains of different sorts of insects. It looks like I'm getting close to something anyway. Aha! What a little beauty! Now this little marsupial carnivore, it's called a fat-tailed dunart, and it's the most common dunart in Australia. Lives under rubbish like this. Probably eats these little beetles here. Huh? Want a bit? Won't eat because he's wild. What a beauty. It's a male. I can see this. He doesn't have a pouch. And you'll notice the very fat tail. used for storing food during dry times. So you never know what you're going to turn up when you look through rubbish like this. Could be anything. But he's a real little beauty, aren't you, mate?
The fat-tailed dunart belongs to the most diverse group of the marsupial carnivores. 19 species exist throughout the arid regions of Australia. They might be diverse, but most of the dunarts are, unfortunately, rare. Rob wanted to meet the largest of the group, but they're so elusive, he's gone to a sanctuary that researches them to ensure a close encounter.
This little feisty critter is a Julia Creek dunart. Until a few years ago, it was believed extinct, not just endangered. But they've found that where they live, certain times of the years, when it's a good year, they're quite common.
Despite their size, these are very adaptable creatures. Water is naturally hard to come by in dry areas, so they've worked their way around the problem by not drinking. Instead, they get all the moisture they need from the prey they devour.
Front feet are like hands, for grabbing onto their prey. And like most of the other small dasyurids, they actually bite their prey on the back of the head, crunch the heads to kill it. Let's have a bite, watch. Ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. Whoa, just as well it's not bigger. Can't really hurt me there, the skin's too tough. But you can see why they got their reputation of being aggressive. If there ever was an animal that could be called aggressive, it'd have to be these little critters. I'm as big as a mountain to this thing, and look at it chewing in there. Whack, whack, whack.
Here at Pearcedale Wildlife Park, research continues into these pocket rockets. Their high metabolic rates are demonstrated in this dunart's manic exercise regime. Even catching them in close quarters is not easy. And here we see positive proof that this is a marsupial.
Now this is a little female one. They don't have a pouch like other dasyurids. It's just a little depression, and they can have anything from 3 to 10 young ones, and that's probably why they don't have a pouch. The young wouldn't fit. They just seem to attach to the teats and hang on. And as they get bigger, they just climb on the mother's back, and she carries them around on their backs. Hey, sweetie.
These marsupials hunt ambush style, using their search and destroy method to target their prey. Grasshoppers, moths and beetles. Not afraid to take on larger food items either, so this large centipede poses no problem. To save energy, they eat their kill on the spot rather than dragging their victims off to the nest.
Now you might notice they've got quite big eyes for the size of their head, and he's a nocturnal animal, allows him to see really well. Pretty noisy little devil too. So they're able to pick up the smallest of movements in the grass, of just insects and spiders cruising around. And like most other nocturnal animals, they only see in black and white. There is no need to see colours out there in the night.
In the wild, dunarts have a lifespan of about 18 months to 2 years.
It's probably because it's so tough out there. The males generally die after they mate, which just leaves more territory for the young ones.
Females do not like company. Any mate that outstays his welcome runs the risk of being attacked and killed.
But after playing with these little marsupial carnivores, I'm glad they don't grow as big as lions or grizzly bears. Ow, 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 ow. I'm Rob Bradley, and thanks for joining me on Killer Instinct.